This is episode 17 with Shinee, Burcu Unsal. Hi, my name is Leon Gabrielian, and this is the Thriving Life Club, the podcast for those who want to thrive in every area of life. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the club. Let's begin. Welcome back to the club, champion. Our today's guest is Shinee Burcu Unsal. With an educational background from Harvard Business School, UCLA, and 15 years in communication and marketing, Shinee is the founder of Be Live In You program, the creator of Neuro-Shine Technology, and the author of the book titled You Are a Star, Shine. Become a Galactic Leader in 5 Steps. That's right, I said galactic. She's an awarded thought leader and executive coach at Forbes Coaches Council. She's a motivational speaker and a licensed neuro-linguistic programming trainer. She teaches leadership communication strategies and emotional intelligence at UCLA Extension. Through all of these platforms, she is committed to making people shine and push humanity forward. We're very excited to have you visit with us today, Shinee. Welcome to the Thriving Life Club.
Hello. Hi, Leon.
It took you 5 years. Just in 5 years, you changed your whole life from a successful but unfulfilled marketing executive in Istanbul, Turkey, to an award-winning source of inspiration as the most influential Turkish-American mindset coach and trainer in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You were successful but unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Well, I started my career in advertising world. It was the year of 2000, and I started working at McKinsey Erickson. Are you familiar with the advertising agencies?
No, not really.
So McKinsey Erickson is one of the biggest ones. So my first client actually I worked on was Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Burger King, I had Gillette, Nescafe, Unilever, you name it. I worked with the biggest Fortune 500 brands. And it took me 10 years to go from this agency to that agency. And finally, I was the head of marketing for an international tour operator.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I said I was unfulfilled was because, especially in the advertising world, ideas are what we sell, what we create, and what we live for. And those ideas come with a big bag of ego.
Okay.
It's my idea, your idea, who is right, who is that. So that's why I struggled a lot. And of course, I didn't know anything about human psychology. I didn't know anything about what I know today about the human mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just this lost young girl. I wanted to create a great life for myself. I wanted to have a great career. And yet I needed to work with these other human beings that I didn't really understand quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going into one emotion to another one, and I was just wondering what was going on. I was doing my best to get along, but there was just this awkward, feeling all the time that I was not able to fit in. I have a lot of creative ideas, and I have this personality now that you see me with my star sticker on my face and, even changing my name to Shinee. So back then I was not Shinee. I was still my Turkish name, Burcu. But I was this big personality and bubbly personality. And it was too much for a lot of people, especially for a culture like Turkey. Mm-hmm. It was too much now that I can see it. But back then I did not quite understand. I did not even have the idea of taking a look at myself. I was just looking at others and I was like, okay, so what is going on here? My director was somebody, I had, several directors. I'm talking about the last one in the advertising agency world. She would be someone who is really direct, very straightforward, and she wouldn't use soft words, and she wouldn't start any sentence with, oh, I understand. Oh, it must be really hard what you're going through. Like, she wouldn't really give me that comforting feeling that I am safe. So I wouldn't be able to open up to her. And like for some cases, I remember I didn't even tell her the things that I was supposed to tell. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel safe. So, fast forward, 10 years after that, today I understand why. Because the most important feeling you want to gift to another human being is safety. You want to make other people safe. Hey, you know what? Tell me. It's okay. I'm not going to judge you. It's okay. But I did not have that. Back in Turkey, especially in the world that I used to work in, the marketing and advertising world, I was being judged for everything. I was being judged for who I am. I was being judged for my ideas. I was being judged for what I said and how I said it. And the judgment didn't come in soft words. It came really hurtful and really direct, sharp, stabbing on the back kind of way. So that judgment really made me wonder. And that's why when I went to an NLP training back in 2009, I said, wow, this is how the mind works. Like, we don't even realize what we do. So this judgment thing is not a good idea. And that's what was driving me off. And then I, decided to study it because I was obviously unfulfilled. Like, if you look at my resume, even, my story on my website, yes, I mean, I have a super cool resume, a super cool educational background, and the brands that everybody would die to work for. But again, this relationship thing with other people was really unfulfilling. And again, today I understand why. But back then, I had no clue. I was lost and I was just trying to understand. I was reading books after books, but it was not really helping. So that's why unfulfillment is about the relationships that we have when we do what we do, Leon.
Now that you know what it was about, what was it?
If I can give you like 3 steps, 1, understanding and appreciating the other person, no matter what they say, no matter what they think, you want to understand and you want to give the person the right to be who they are. So I didn't have that. Number 1 is being understood, being heard, being seen, being valued, no matter what you think. Everybody has a way to think. Everybody has a way to live, to do, because of who they are, because of, how they live their life, and because of what they brought from their own upbringing. And that gives them only the reason of who they are, gives them the reason good enough to be who they are. It's okay. I mean, we are not people who are supposed to judge each other because of the way somebody thinks a different thing. So that's number 1 that I didn't have. I was being judged. But on the contrary, step number 1 to a fulfillment relationship needs to be understanding and appreciating the other person, no matter what they are, no matter what they say, no matter what they think. Okay, that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is this jealousy thing. So I want to talk about it because now I know how the mind works. The mind works with comparison, deleting, distorting, generalizing, and creating assumptions. And comparing is being the number 1 automatic filter of the mind. It happens every day. Well, I mean, I understand today that we cannot not judge. So it happens automatically in the mind. But it is the person's individual responsibility to choose a better way to communicate how they live life and how they look at each other. So yes, you're going to do comparison with yourself and with others. Yes, you're going to go into judgment and assumption in your mind, but there is a better way to express it. So if you are choosing to express what you think about the other person in a negative way, and if you're always choosing the words to put the other person down, so if you're choosing the words or the behaviors and the actions to make the other person uncomfortable for being who they are, constantly criticizing, then that's not really a classy way of being in the world. So that's what jealousy is. Jealousy is using the comparison function of the mind in a very negative way. And today, I am a licensed NLP trainer, so I can explain to you how the mind works, and I can explain how the comparison is being made automatically by the subconscious filters of the mind. But again, at the end of the day, we all have a choice. So if there is a better choice, I expect and I demand from my human mates, human friend mates, to choose better words, to choose better ways of acting. And if they're not, they're basically accepting that, okay, I am just going to reflect my jealousy. I am going to reflect my uncomfort. And I am just going to reflect my critical thinking and critical criticism on others. And that's not really supportive. And that's not really positive. Today was, International Women's Day. And I posted something on my social media and I said, real queens fix each other's crowns. So that sentence says a lot by itself. If you're not a real queen, if you're not a real king, you're not going to even pretend to fix someone's crown. You're just going to pay attention to yourself and how you look in your crown and what you do and so on and so forth. But it's not how we live in this world. This is not how I want to play in the playground of the world that we live in. So that's why I had a lot of jealous and negative eyes and words and language and behavior on me, especially back in Turkey. And that was not okay. That was number 2. That was missing. So number 1 was understanding and appreciating. So number 2 is choosing positive comparisons. If you want to do the opposite of jealousy, you want to say something, hey, you know what? I love what you are able to accomplish. Like, can you please tell me what you did? And can you please share me some nuggets of wisdom so that I can also learn from you and I can also achieve the same? You just put it out there. You don't hide it inside and you don't not talk about it because your body language shows it anyways. So that's what I want. I want radical honesty from people. And that's number 2. That number 2 is choosing positive words to show your comparison to the world. And number 3 is being creative and being supportive in a galactic way. So what do I mean by galactic? I'm sure you also saw that word on my website, right? Galactic. Right. Mm-hmm. So galactic comes from an understanding that we all are spiritual beings and we live a physical life. We experience a physical life here. So, before we were born, there was nothing but a heartbeat. So the first thing that can be seen in a sonogram is a heartbeat. So the heartbeat is your soul, which means that you came from galaxies and you're going to go back to galaxies after you're going to die. So that basic understanding is, galactic and galacticism and, talking about galaxies and, this cosmology takes us to a very far, heightened level of consciousness. And I do want to play, again, in this playground of the planet that we live in a collaborative, in a supportive way. And I do want people to support each other creatively, to support their paths to success, to support whatever the mission they are on in a creative way. For example, if I know that I can help a high school kid to become clear on their way, to become whoever they want to become, I'm going to help them out. I don't have to make my money from a high school kid. I am making my money from the corporate world, from my clients, from my executive clients and from my, big corporate companies that I work with or my individual people that I coach and train. But a high school kid is someone that I am going to feel deeply in my heart because, when I was in high school in a little town in Turkey, I was not really clear about what I wanted to do. I did not have mentors. I did not have anything that I now see people can have today. So anyone telling me anything was very precious and I want to give back. So that's why that is my creative way to support. And for that reason, on Wednesday, on the 14th, I am going to be speaking at Beverly Hills High School to the kids who want to choose their careers in a more effective way. This is my creative way. I'm a speaker and I found a creative way to give back and to support my galactic friends, my playmates. And I am so excited, especially to go back to the youth and, show them a better way, because that's the age that really is precious to know these nuggets of wisdom. And that's what I want from everyone to do. That's number 3, creatively supporting each other. For example, I can also get a mentor who has been in this industry for like 40, 50 years, who has achieved the results that I want to achieve. This has been for like 6 or 7 years for me. And I still need mentors. I still need people who have been there, done that. And they can also, decide to choose back and creatively support my way to achieve my next level and my galactic level. And that is, to me, number 3. And whoever has this mindset, I know they are galactic heightened level of conscious people. So to wrap up, what I didn't have back then and what I think that can be very helpful today is the following 3 steps. 1, understand and appreciate each other. 2, use your comparison in a very positive way and get inspired. And 3, creatively support each other and help each other.
Beautiful. Beautifully put. So first, understanding each other no matter what. Mm-hmm. Second, choosing positive comparisons. Mm-hmm. And third, creatively supporting each other.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And you mentioned NLP. Could you tell me briefly, what is NLP?
Sure, with pleasure. That's what changed my life. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It is basically a methodology packed in a little toolbox for you to program your mind, which is full of neurons, 100 billion neurons, 100 billion neurons. And you get to program those neurons in the way you use your language. That's why it is called Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Programming your neurons with the language and linguistic patterns that you have. It is a kind of methodology, and it is the number 1 mind technology that has ever been created in the world. And everybody who is very successful in personal and professional growth, like Tony Robbins and Brendon Burchard and, Robert Kiyosaki, Bill Walsh, every name that you're going to get yourself familiar with, they have been there, done that, studying NLP. Because if you want to be successful in life, you want to understand your mind. You think and you communicate and you lead and you sell and you connect with your mind. And if you don't know how your mind works, you are in a very dark place. So that's what NLP comes really handy and really helpful, because it teaches you how your mind works, and you can learn from your mind. You can learn from yourself, knowing yourself, know thyself. That's the, over centuries over repeated mantra that we need to remind ourselves, that we need to know ourselves, how we do things, how we like it, what we're good at, what is our most amazing strengths and what can be optimized. So that's what you can really dive in and kind of like hack into your brain with neuro-linguistic programming. And it changed my life because, again, like I was telling you, when I was this marketing executive back in Turkey, and when I was struggling with the relationships in my everyday routine with my career, I was struggling because I really didn't have any tools. I really didn't have any okay, step number 1, understand and appreciate, step number 2, this, I didn't have anything like that at all. I didn't even understand the psychology of these egos and why everybody was yelling and screaming and criticizing me when I was, coming from my heart to make a difference. So NLP really gives you this perspective. You kind of know automatically, but once you study it, it becomes like this mental folder in your brain, so to say. So you create this mental library of information you can pull anytime that you want. If you're about to make a big decision, if you're going to get married, if you're going to, make a move from a city or to another city, or from a country to another country like me, or, if you're going to have a baby, if you're going to get promoted, if you're going to choose a partner, get an investor, any big decision and any not big decision, any small decision requires every human being to understand how to make the decisions in the most optimum way. And that's what you can study with NLP. Did you know that you can classify your behaviors, Leon? There is actually an A-class behavior. And I'll just talk about it because it is going to be a tangible example for whoever is listening. An A-class behavior is something that you enjoy doing. It is really good for you. It's really good for the other person you're interacting with. And also, it is good for the greater good. So there are 4 metrics that you can measure an A-class behavior. And if you want to live a galactic cosmic life, you want to have A-class behaviors. And that becomes like a checklist in your mental folder. Whenever you're about to make a decision, you go back to that folder and then you just pull up that file that tells you how to make the best decision. And you ask yourself, am I enjoying this? Is it good for me? Is it good for the other person? Is it a win-win situation? Oh, am I also making this world a better place by just making that decision? Easy, right? Now you do have a checklist and it becomes automatic for you. So that can be something that you can learn, especially you can learn from my NLP trainings, because every NLP trainer, they do have their own content kind of customized to who they are and what they believe in. And that is because, it's filtered from their map of the world. And from my map of the world, I stand for living in a cosmic state of mind. That means, galactic level is something that you really chose it for yourself. You designed your life. That's not a given life. That's not a comfortable life. That is a cosmic life. And you get to be galactic. You get to be free and you get to be joyful and you get to be who you are born to be. And that would be really handy for someone who studies NLP with me. So another example, as A-class behaviors are really good. Another example is, did you know that there are 3 components to communication?
3 components? You mean the nonverbal, the tonality, and the words?
There you go. Yes. And do you know the percentages of them?
Yeah, definitely. It's a UCLA study. I actually just typed it up right now because you mentioned something at the beginning. So I wanted to mention it, the 55, 38, and 7. Mm-hmm. But go ahead, tell us.
Okay, yeah. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So for someone who doesn't know that there are 3 components to every communication, it comes in really, really handy and really helpful. So the biggest component for an effective communication is the body language, the nonverbal. Your facial expressions says a lot. You think that you are not talking, but your facial expressions, your eye movements, if you crinkle your nose, if you drop your jaw, or if you not smile and have a low posture on your face, those are the things, that micro expressions that can tell a lot about how you communicate with others. And that is in your body language. If you cross your arms or legs, and if you smile or not smile, you know what I mean? There are so many detailed studies around the nonverbal. And for anyone who wants to become a more effective communicator, I highly encourage everyone to study their body language and microfacial expressions, and also their physical postures. That's the nonverbal. You can even detect lies with, your body language and how you use your eyes. And that is because, body language is something that has been studied for so many years. And now there are studies and statistics that can prove that the way you use your body actually says a lot than your words. And your body is this wisdom machine, and your body says whatever it wants to say in a very subtle way. And that's why you want to be aware. I mean, if you are somebody who is turning your back to your audience when you speak, that's a no-no. So you need to know that. If you are somebody who doesn't understand the power of standing up and talking while you are up on your feet, then you need to study physiology, because it gives you more rush and more adrenaline, and your brain produces more hormones for you to have more energy, and that's why you get into the state in that different physiology. So those are some tangible, examples. And that's why the most important component of communication is body language, 55%. And the second one is tonality, like you also mentioned, Leon. 38% is in the voice. Nobody is able to see me right now, but they hear my voice. And my voice is already giving their subconscious mind an idea about who I am, an idea about what kind of a person I am, how I communicate, if I am smiling. Right now I am smiling. Can you tell? Can you actually get it from my voice?
Definitely.
You can, right? So that's something that everybody needs to understand. Again, this is understanding your own tonality and your own being and becoming a more effective communicator. And so that leaves us, 38% of tonality and 55% of body language leaves us only 7% to the words that we're actually using. But it doesn't mean that the words are not important. Words are extremely important. Words either make you or break you in your relationships, in your conversations, in the sales and the pitches and everything that you do. So words are kind of like the predominant force of communication. The reason it is only 7% is because if you say the same thing in a different way, in a very loving tonality, you can change the meaning. You can choose the most amazing words. And then if you cannot find the best tonality and body language to express those beautiful words, forget it. It's just not going to work. So let me give you an example. So with this very chilled and very relaxed state of mind that I am in, so if I go to someone and if I tell you, for example, I'm talking to you, and if I tell you, hey, Leon, I really need your help. Can you please do X and Y and Z for me? So how would you feel with this tonality?
I would be comfortable. I would be asking you more information about what is it that I can help you with.
So you would be open, right?
Right.
Okay. So now let's try another tonality, and I'm going to use the same words, but I'm just going to change the tonality, and I want you to tell me how you feel. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Oh my gosh, Leon, I need your help. Can you please help me? So how does this sound?
Yeah, not right now.
Right? So that's what I mean. I just wanted to give everybody a sample of what tonality changes, how tonality changes and what it does to communication so that we can become more aware. It really, can make you or break you again in conversations. And it's not really the words. So that's why we are left with only 7% when it comes to the effectiveness of the communication. But again, this is again an example for me to give you NLP, why it comes very helpful in the way we communicate and we do things. So if you do have this communication file in your mental folder, you just, tap into it whenever you are ready to communicate, and whenever you know that, okay, you know what, I am going to become the best communicator that I ever know. And so I am just going to pull up this mental file that I have about communication. I will also remind myself that 55% is body language, 38% is my tonality, and 7% is the words that I choose. And so this way I can become a more effective communicator. And that becomes really helpful too. So if I had known all of these things, so just these two examples, right? A-class behaviors and effective communication, just these two, right? If I had known, I would have been such a better, maybe more fulfilled communicator and more fulfilled marketing executive back then. So realizing how communication and realizing and how behaviors and mind technology are constantly every second, every minute, and every day of our life is affecting us just changed my life completely. So that's how I use neurolinguistic programming on my life, and that's how I also recommend everybody to use to change their life and take their life to a galactic level.
And it all started by you questioning your beliefs, right?
Yeah. It all started me asking what's wrong with me. It's not the best question, actually. So I never, ever recommend anyone to ask a question like that. That's a very, very negative question to ask because the mind is so automatic. Whatever you ask, you shall receive from the mind. So whenever I ask myself what's wrong with me, I was just getting these answers. Okay, dear lady, we found this to be true about your question. Here are the answers. Well, you are too much. That is something that can be something wrong with you. You are very different. So that can be wrong. So I was just getting these answers from my brain. And I was like, okay, so I understand whatever I put in to my mind, it's just going to blend in and it's just going to give me the answers I want. So I'd better ask not any negative questions to my mind, right? That was a great learning. So it all started by realizing the quality of questions that I was asking myself, because we all live in the mind, Leon.
Right.
We all live in the mind. Everybody lives. People tell me I live in, Beverly Hills, LA, downtown, Culver City, whatever. I say, no, you live in the mind. You do live in your mind because that is a crowded place. I told you 100 billion neurons, which means that you can actually go from Los Angeles to London by just combining the neurons in your mind. You know what I mean? That's the length of it. And it is 2,500 times bigger than the number of planets and stars combined in the whole planet, the galaxy. All the planets and stars combined in the whole galaxy, our mind, the number of neurons, have 2,500 times more neurons in it. So that's how big it is, and that's how we live in the mind. And to go back to your question, everything started by not fitting in and questioning my questions and my beliefs about who I am.
Shinee, I know that you wrote a book. It's on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It's called You're a Star, Shine, with 2 exclamation marks.
Yes.
What is your book about in a nutshell?
My book is a leadership book, Leon, because the subtitle goes, Become a Galactic Leader in 5 Steps, right? So I am actually presupposing that we all are a star and we're born to shine. And it is a scientific study. And I can prove every single one who is listening that we are a star. Because if you go back to the Big Bang, and if you just realize and remember that we exploded from a giant nebula, we are made up of stardust. And that makes us a star. We are a star. And again, this is a very cosmic cosmology kind of a perspective that I come from. And in my book, You Are a Star, Shine, I am reminding human beings, hey, how dare you think so low and so small about yourself? Don't you see how big you are? Don't you see how much it takes to create a human being? Don't you see, what it takes to become you? And I talk about the cosmology, I talk about the cosmic laws, and I talk about the laws of the mind, the principles of the mind. And I invite people to become a galactic leader. And here's the galactic leader definition. In my book, I talk about 3 types of lives and 3 types of beings. So the first level of life is a given life that I mentioned before. A given life is something that, I was born and raised in a small town in Turkey. So if I chose to stay in my given life, I would still be living in that little town with whatever, my parents or my society, my community was giving me. I would take it and I would just go with it because it's given, right? You don't have to go out of your comfort zone. You don't need to search for anything. You just take whatever is given. It's really simple. And in that given life, you are actually a physical being. Why? Because you don't go out of your physical world. You don't go out of your comfort zone. You don't go question, and you don't really go search for more meaning in the mind. And so you are actually, kind of like limited by physicality of the life we live in. And in the second level, you're like, well, thanks, mom and dad. That's really sweet of you. And I understand that you also want me to become a doctor, lawyer, teacher, whatever. But guess what? I do want to do my own thing. I want to go search for my options, and I'm going to go study something else. I want to study, I studied international relations, but this educational system is really complicated in Turkey. So I actually wanted to study business and communication, but they were like kind of like down on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a better result. So that's why I ended up going to the best school in Turkey, and I studied international relations. So in educational system that I experienced back in Turkey, that we would go take the form, and then we would fill out the form, and then we would tell, okay, this is the school I want to go in, this is the school I want to go in. We would fill it out first, and then we would take the test. So that's really creepy. That's really not right. So that's why I wanted to explain to you the background behind what I meant by, me scoring a little higher and going to the best school and not studying business and communication and studying international relations instead. So it was not a decision at that point. I had already made my decisions first before I took the test. So it was weird. So anyways, it's not like that anymore, but back in my time, it was like that. But back to my second level of life and second level of being, when you go and choose what you want, and when you are able to go out of your comfort zone and you want to create your own comfortable life, I call it the comfortable life. So I studied in the best university. I got a great diploma. And so whatever the door I knocked, it was open to me because of my great education in Turkey. So I was able to create a career for me in the advertising world in Istanbul, Turkey. And so I created this comfortable life for me, and I became this transit being. Why am I saying transit? Because before, as I was explaining to you, I didn't know the tools. I didn't have the people skills to go on and live a galactic life. I was in transition. I was a transit being. I was becoming something, but I was in the transition. So that's why it is transit. And it is comfortable because it's my choice, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why it is out of my comfort zone that I was born into. And that's why I call it the comfortable life. But that's not even where we want to be. We want to be at the next level, which is what I call a cosmic life and galactic being. A cosmic life is somewhere you are absolutely joyful every step of the way you take in life, and every single day you wake up, and every person that you have in your life because you chose them. It is your own individual choice. You designed your life the way you absolutely wholeheartedly, purposefully, and intentionally designed your life. And it is in line with your stars. It is in line with who you are from the universe, from the galaxies, as a galactic being. And that's why it becomes something cosmic. That's something that can be studied from the cosmology perspective. So it's a cosmic life. It's total joy and pure joy. It's cosmic life, and you get to become a galactic being because you're living your highest truth and you are becoming your best self. Those are the 3 levels I explain in my book. And I invite every human being, my playmates in this playground, I invite everyone to live a cosmic life and to become a galactic leader.
I wish every single person who's listening to this would get to that level.
Yes.
You mentioned, so let's summarize. First level is the given life. And what's the name of the being?
Given life, physical being. Comfortable life, transit being. Cosmic life, galactic being.
And I'm taking notes. Beautiful. What are 3 things that you absolutely need in order to thrive during a typical day?
Three things I absolutely need in order to thrive in a typical day. One, my self-love. Two, music. Three, healthy food.
As far as music, now that you know a lot about how the mind works and you studied NLP, you studied yourself and you studied other people, how do you use music on daily basis? You mentioned upbeat music. How do you use music on daily basis to affect your state?
It's a really good question, Leon. I actually wake up with music. First of all, that's how I set my alarm. That's the first thing that I hear. I wake up with a great music that I chose myself to wake up with. And after that, the first thing I say myself when I wake up, I put my feet on the ground and I say, I love my life. That's how I wake up. And then after I wash my hands and everything got ready, I go to my Mac, and I do have speakers, as I was telling you. So I put on the music right away. I put on something I would listen, for example, to give you a hint. I Love Myself from Hailey Steinfeld. That would be a song that I would listen. I love myself. Pitbull, Feel This Moment. That would be a song. And Happy, Pharrell Williams. I would listen to that song. 24 Karat, Bruno Mars. Fight song, So those are the songs that would really, put me in the state. And those are like upbeat, not only with the beat, but also with the lyric.
Right. So you're looking at the beat to pump you up, and also the words to match and be a mantra to pump you up internally, and then start the day powerfully, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I do have the I Love Myself song from Hailey Steinfeld. That is my theme song for my NLP and life coach certification trainings.
Did you create your own flavor of NLP and called it Neuro-Shine Technology?
Yes, I did.
There you go. So that's what I thought. Tell me in a couple of sentences, what do you do once someone comes to your event?
To answer your question, Neuro-Shine Technology is a powerful blend of a lot of different disciplines that I studied. And the reason I chose Neuro-Shine as the word is because it represents two things. One, the beautiful connotation that we have with the word shine and the cosmic light, the cosmic enlightenment that we have within. And two, it is the enlightenment of the mind, not the soul, but the mind. So the mind has this scientific process. And when one neuron shares the information with the other neuron, those neurons communicate. They send and receive information via these neural pathways. And when they fire together, they wire together. And this firing and wiring processing that is happening in the mind is actually creating this measurable electricity, like the buzz buzz, right? So every time the buzz buzz, thought happens in the brain, we can actually measure it with all of these, new technology that we have right now. It is the terminology that I call Neuro-Shine as well. It is the shining of the neurons. Neurons are shining because neurons are getting enlightened. The part of the brain which is getting the enlightenment, getting the wisdom, getting the information that it requires, it needs to go to the next level to form a different neural pathway. That is what I call a Neuro-Shine moment. And whenever they come to my training, I explain what Neuro-Shine is, and then I give them a sheet of stars. And so those stars represent the Neuro-Shine moment that they are going to experience during the training. So my trainings are 7 days long, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. But the format is not 7 days in a row, but it is 2 weekends split as Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they do have this 3 days in between to go give the mind a break. Otherwise, they are going to have mind freezing. It's going to be frozen. It's going to be burned. It's going to be, fried, anything. So the 7-day training with 2 weekend format is making people understand how they operate, how their mind works, how they can become a more effective communicator, how they can become a more effective leader. And as they go through the exercises, as they go through the principles and the teaching of the training, they have these aha moments. Oh my gosh, I just realized this. Oh my gosh, I just realized that. Oh my God, I never thought to do this way. Oh, I heard it from you. That might be something really good for me too. Oh, can I also borrow your idea? So those conversations made me realize that I need to give people something tangible to live with. And that's why I give them a sheet of stars, very bright stars, the ones that I stick to my face, the ones that you see on my website, right? So those stars that I stick to my face, the little, shiny star stickers, I give a sheet of them to my students. And every Neuro-Shine moment, every aha moment, every realization, every breakthrough is marked with those stars. So it reminds them how powerful they are and how much of growth they have actually experienced by just attending a training. And this training is full of other people, but of course it is really, really upscale because I only have 10 or 12 people currently. I'm also training other assistant trainers so that I can increase the number of people I can have in my trainings. But currently I have 10, 12, maybe sometimes, maximum 14 people. So with this number of people, I do have the chance to go deep within. I dig deep within their soul. And I also ask so many different questions and I get a chance to expand their mind, expand their thinking. They're not looking at a situation, a problem, a person, a conversation in just one angle. On the contrary, they now have 360 perspective around the situation, around the conversation, and around how they behave. And they receive immediate feedback by working with other people in the room. They receive immediate results and they can ask questions immediately to me. So it also becomes coaching. 7 days of coaching with 10, 12, 14 people who are also on their way to become a certified life coach. So it is really powerful. And I love the trainings because I know that I am training leaders. So everybody who leaves my training, I tell them we are on a mission to change this world to a shinier and happier place. And you are a galactic leader. And now you do have the hat and you do have the mission to carry this forward. And that's why every person, every student, every client that I have in my training, they also become my team member to help make this world a better place.
Beautiful. And those people who come to your coaching, the event, who are on their way to become coaches, of course, in order to become a coach, one needs to address their own issues first.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And before they can coach others.
Yeah. Exactly. You said it very well. They need to understand how it works. They need to experience it firsthand. They need to go through their own breakthroughs. They need to face their own fears. They need to understand their own mental structure, and they need to see how different another person is and how different they process information, how different their value structure, belief structure, and the goal setting and everything. So as they go through this process and as they realize, what it takes and how it is to become a coach, and they also get 3 different certifications at the end of my training. So the first certification is from Dr. Richard Bandler himself, the guy who invented the term neuro-linguistic programming, the genius behind NLP, the creator and the founder of neuro-linguistic programming. So I studied with Dr. Richard Bandler. So I am licensed with him, which means that I just posted something on my social media. If you want to go take a look. Today I was signing 23 different certifications that I received from Dr. Richard Bandler. So once they come to the training, I give them a lot of paperwork and they fill out the paperwork, and I send the paperwork to the Society of NLP. And Richard Bandler himself, with his team, creates these certifications. He puts his own personal signature. Still today, he created it in the 70s, and still today, he does it himself. And then he FedExes all of the certifications to me. And then I have my part that says licensed trainer of neurolinguistic programming. So we kind of co-sign the international global certification for every single person in the room to become a licensed practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. If they take the 7-day training, second level, advanced level, then the same process is valid, and now they receive licensed master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. And so that's the first certification. The second certification is to become a coach. So my trainings are approved by International Coach Federation. It's the highest level of certification in the globe and the world. They are all over the world in 120 countries, and they do have the standards for any institution and for any individual to become certified according to ICF standards. So my training is also accredited by International Coach Federation with the continuing coaching education units. So with the units that I provide, I also certified each and every person after successful completion of the program, 7-day program, as a motivational coach in the first 7 days. And in the second advanced level 7 days, I also certify them professional life coach, certified professional life coach. So after finishing both levels, they are now fully equipped with everything they need to go out there, do professional life coaching, executive coaching, mindset coaching, success coaching, whatever the coaching that they want to do. They are not only an NLP master practitioner, but they're also a certified professional life coach. And my third certification that I give is my own Neuro-Shine Technology certification. So they also become my team member, right? Like I said. So I am also certifying them as practitioners and master practitioners of Neuro-Shine Technology that I created. It's complicated, it's comprehensive, it's world-class, it's the highest level. And I am not joking. I take it really seriously. And, I have my highest pride to have certified hundreds of people all over the world, including, I do this in Turkey as well, in Istanbul. But in my trainings here in Los Angeles, California, I have people flying from all over the world. So this next Friday, I'm going to start teaching my NLP master practitioner and professional life coach training with my master practitioner of Neuro-Shine Technology certification included. So there are people coming from all over the world, from Switzerland, from Argentina, and I have people from other states, from Texas, Florida. It's just this high level world-class training. So whoever is listening out there, if your heart beats to make a difference in the world and to make a living, to make a fulfilled living, not a career, not a successful career, but a successful and a fulfilling career by, helping people change their lives, I invite them to come and take a look at my trainings at theshinyone.com. And if they have any questions, they can also shoot me an email at Shinee@theshinyone.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. I was going to ask you that. So we made a full circle. Earlier, you mentioned that it's important for the person to know themselves. Just like you said, know thyself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Could you give some examples or a micro example or an exercise that someone can take and apply in real life in order to get closer in understanding who they are?
Absolutely. Well, my favorite exercise, and actually my first assignment that I give to my students, not only in my certification trainings, but also in my classes that I teach at UCLA Extension, I start my trainings with this personality test, and I'm going to give it to everyone. It's called 16personalities.com, and 16 is with the digits. So 16personalities.com. So that test is so powerful, so comprehensive, and so enlightening in the way that tells you who you are and how you do life. It is based on MBTI, Myers-Briggs type indicator, and also the Ocean, the Big Five. So if you know about the Ocean, the Big Five, it is the widely used personality test by, the most institutions and, the highest level of, National Health Institute, Mindset Institutes. So they all use these, national psychology. They all use this personality test because it is statistical and it's based on science. So what 16personalities.com did, they combined both the Ocean, the 5 traits of personality, and the 4 traits of MBTI. They put it together, and then they also added some characters, some cartoony characters. For example, I am an ENTJ. ENTJ stands for extrovert, intuitive, thinker, and a judger personality. Mm-hmm. So that personality is actually when it is combined with assertiveness that you also see in the results, it is at the 3% of the whole world population. And if you want to divide it between men and women, only 1% of the world are women ENTJs. And if you want to divide it by assertive woman ENTJs, it's only 0.3% of the whole world. So that's my personality. And knowing that, and knowing what I do and how I do life, knowing how I make my decisions, and knowing how I, live my life, it just gives me clarity. It just, this is who I am. And I own it, and I can optimize it. There are strengths and there are weaknesses. There is no weakness. I don't believe in weaknesses. I believe in optimizing how you do life. So that 16personalities.com can be a great way and a very practical tool for everyone who is listening to go take the test in just like 20 minutes and to read a very comprehensive outcome of their personality free of charge. Incredible. Free of charge. And it can shine a light on their career, relationship, communication and leading styles and how they do life. So that can be a really good way to start knowing thyself. Was that helpful?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned, actually. I took that test as well.
You did? What is your type?
My type is INTP. It's called Logician. Yours is ENTJ. Do you remember the name?
Commander. I'm a commander.
You're the commander. Okay. Interesting.
I am the commander. Mm-hmm.
This is a great website. 16, the number 1 and 6, and personalities.com. It's free.
Exactly.
And basically you answer a bunch of questions, and it gives you the type of the personality that you have based on the answers that you gave. And it breaks down what would be good for you in different areas of life, in relationship and business and in a career that you choose, I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I was using the DISC profile with Tony Robbins, but after I took this one, this is like way more better because I am like a scientific person. So even though my type is ENTJ, I also have the characteristics of ENTP. So there was a note for me, also, you also might fall. When I took the MBTI test, and not the 16 personalities one, but from the MBTI website, I received a note. You also have the characteristics of ENTP. So depending on the situation, I guess I can be ENTP and ENTJ. So I can definitely see, now that I have taken the test, I can see myself how I am becoming more like a perceiver instead of a judger, and how it is helpful and when it is helpful and when it is not. So that's how it helps for someone who really, wants to know more about themselves. And like it becomes again a mental file in the mental library. Now you have taken the test. Now you read it. Now you studied it. Now you can actually use it as a guide in your everyday life, and you can actually go back to it and pull it up from your folders of, self-awareness, and then you apply it into the situations in every day, and then you go, oh, you know what, I am not really acting like a perceiver right now. I am actually making a snap judgment. So I am actually very fast. Oh, I didn't have time to think. Oh, I became this and I became that. So it becomes your internal dialogue in the mind. So it makes you aware in so many ways. And that is why it's really helpful. And of course, knowing the other person's personality, especially if you work together. I mean, can you imagine how helpful it becomes?
I would assume it changes as we go through life. Over time, it might slightly change, don't you think?
Yes, you are right. And I can actually prove to you it's a very good question, because when I first came back to United States back in 2010, the end of 2010, after my unfulfilling, marketing career, I was an ENFJ. It was an F. I was a feeler. So I do have the documents and the brochure and the catalog and everything. The training that I went made me take the test, and I was an ENFJ back then. So 7-8 years later, here I am. I am an ENTJ with tendencies of ENTP. So I totally changed my personality. And I know how I did it because I am an NLP trainer. I'm a mind technologist, right? So I work with the mind. I'm always like thinking. So instead of feeling, I am actually using thinking more in life now.
Shinee, what would you say your biggest fear is moving forward?
That's a really good question. I have accomplished a lot for a person who was born and raised in a small town in Turkey and who is living a very amazing, joyful, cosmic life as a galactic being right now. I received awards. I teach at one of the best institutions in the world, UCLA. My education is comprehensive. I went to Harvard. I'm a member of the Forbes Coaches Council. I've done a lot. So my biggest fear is not being able to pass these things. I need to do more. I need to do better. I've done so much already. So everything that I do is not good enough right now. Does that make sense? No, I know. I'm like, no. I need to do better. I can do better. Oh, I should do better. I must do better. So, and I give myself that kind of self-talk. Whenever I find myself getting involved with something, my self-talk starts talking to me. And then it tells me, oh no, you must do better. You should do better. You need to, oh, you have done this and done that. Come on. You know what I mean? That's my conversation in the mind. So that's my biggest fear.
I would say that's good, unless it goes kind of overboard. But I believe, I trust that you keep it healthy at the healthy level. At the healthy level, that's very, very beneficial. You're basically competing against yourself, and you're always moving forward, making sure you're progressing, growing, doing better than yesterday.
Yeah. Thank you, Leon. I am absolutely living my number 2 principle. Comparing with positive perspective, right?
Yes.
Using comparison in a positive way. So I am doing that, and it's not easy, of course. I'm still in a human body and human mind, and so it's not easy to have that going, but I'm doing my best every day. So it's still a fear. Am I going to be good enough? So sometimes I ask myself, oh my God, the award that I received says 40 under 40. So I have 1 year left, because, next year I'm going to be 40. So what's going to happen when I pass 40? I have these, very funny questions in my mind. And it just makes me, uncomfortable.
You'll get another award that says 50 under 50.
That helps. Yes, that certainly helps.
Hey, but what is it? The 40 under 40? I've heard there's a 30 under 30. There's probably 10 under 10.
Well, I was awarded last year as the 40 most influential Turkish Americans under 40 living in the United States. That is my award. by the Turkish American community here in the United States.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. And
Yeah.
you're also a member of the Forbes Coaches Council.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Could you tell me just a couple sentences about that? What is it about?
Well, Forbes, you know Forbes. So Forbes is, this highest level upscale business magazine, and they do have these consuls. And they approached me 2 years ago, and they say, hey, we have this coaches console, and we only invite people with, credentials and proven results, and we only invite them. They're like invitation only console. So we would love you to join the console and share your expertise and share your content with us. So sometimes, I answer Q&As. Sometimes I write for Forbes. Sometimes they do magazines for me. And, I get to have a powerful group of network through Forbes, other coaches who are doing amazing things as well in the world. And so that's about it. Forbes Coaches Council. And we do have online community, and there is also this Q&As that we put out there. It's basically an online expertise content sharing platform for Forbes.
And I'm really dying to find out, what is your definition of a thriving life?
My definition of a thriving life is actually the cosmic life. Right? You call it thriving life. I call it the cosmic life. Thriving life is something that you design, you choose, you pick every single person you want your life to be surrounded by, and you choose your own things that you want to do every single day. And that is how you thrive. You keep going because you chose it, because you are free to live and believe anything you want. So choose to believe in you and let your power shine out.
So about that, very simply put, what is the first step for someone who desires to get to and elevate their life to a galactic level? What would their first step be towards that goal?
Well, the first step can be, it's going to be my recommendation. They can go and read my book. So it's on Amazon. It's available. And I actually am now going to create a new campaign because I am working on becoming a Hay House author. So my book is actually in Hay House right now. They loved it. They loved everything about it. They just want more sales. And for that goal, I would like to ask everybody who's listening a favor for themselves and a favor for me too, and a favor for the world as well, so that we can increase the consciousness and A-class behavior. Please go buy my book on Amazon, You're a Star Shine, because you are going to take the first step to take your life to the next level. And then you're going to help me to increase my book sales so that I can become a Hay House author and I can reach my message to millions, if not billions of people, and make this world a better place. Go get the book, read the book, and there are exercises inside the book. Those exercises are going to make everyone think and assess themselves, evaluate their life and where they are, and they're going to teach themselves how their mind works and how can communicate more effectively. All of these tools that we covered with you in more depth. So that's the first step, yes.
Well, thank you very much, Shinee, for joining us today at the club. It was a great pleasure to have you, all this knowledge that you imparted to us and taught us, the exercises and the ways of thinking that will elevate our life to a galactic level, like you put it.
Oh, you're welcome. It has been my pleasure. Again, my website is theshinyone.com. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm available with my email address, shiny@theshinyone.com.
And there we have it. Another amazing guest has visited our club. Make sure to subscribe to the Thriving Life Club podcast on your favorite app. Simply go to thriving.lifeclub.com/ and the name of your favorite platform. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. You get the point. You will find the show notes, the episode freebie, and the resources mentioned during the episode by navigating your browser to thriving.lifeclub.com/ and the number of this episode. For example, for the episode 3, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/3. For the episode 7, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/7. We want to make this podcast the #1 podcast on iTunes in its category. When you feel inspired, head over to iTunes and give us a quick review to keep the podcast commercial free and get it discovered by more people like you and families like yours. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes and share it with your friends. Let's inspire more people together. And until the next episode, just remember, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, live a thriving life.